Welcome to Camp Kidney, where you can join the Jelly Trio in their fun misadventures. Just don't let Scoutmaster Lumpus try to ruin them with his authority. Hey, I'm Joe with Channel Frederator, and we're about to discover some secrets, just like real Bean Scouts. So get ready for some summer fun, no matter what time of the year you're watching this, because we're exploring 107 facts about Camp Lazlo. Let's get started! Camp Lazlo was created by Joe Murray, who previously had a pretty popular and iconic show on Nickelodeon. Rocko's Modern Life, anyone? After leaving Rocko's Modern Life, Murray had a little notebook full of ideas, but kept gravitating towards stories about summer camp since he felt he had a lot of his best childhood memories come from there. When Murray came up with the idea, he first felt that the story would be told in the form of a children's book. However, the more he thought about it, the more he realized he wanted to explore the characters and world in the form of an animated series. Camp Lazlo ended up on Cartoon Network because Linda Semensky, the person who originally brought Murray into Nick, went over to work for the channel. As a producer there, she asked Murray if he had any interest in the company, and the rest, well, that's history. After the show was greenlit, Murray brought on his old production partner, Mark O'Hare, as a producer. But shortly after that, the show's greenlight was revoked. What a tease! Apparently, some of the executives weren't convinced by the show and asked for 3 more storyboards to convince them before they could move on with the process. Determined to make the series happen, Murray and O'Hare made those requests and delivered the boards to the executives. The duo even felt that those storyboards helped make the show stronger. The show was officially greenlit again, and the ball was finally rolling. One of these storyboards was for Parasitic Pal. Murray and O'Hare split the work on this one evenly. It was a good episode, so we're happy it helped the show make the cut. Speaking of the Parasitic Pal, it was intended to be one of the first episodes, but Cartoon Network didn't want Lazlo to be remembered as the guy with the leech on his head, so they pushed it back a bit. In the end, it was episode 7. Camp Lazlo premiered on Cartoon Network on July 8th, 2005 at 8 p.m. A new summer setting for a jolly summertime. This means that Camp Lazlo premiered the same day as Nickelodeon's Cat Scratch. The same release date had many people take to the internet to find out which they should watch over the other. An overwhelming percent of them were excited for Camp Lazlo over the new Nick show. One online poll had a 60-40 ratio. So what exactly were they excited for? Well, the show follows Lazlo and his friends Raj and Clam as they spend the summer at Camp Kidney and get into all sorts of silly antics. There, they learn to become Bean Scouts under the watchful eye of the grumpy Scoutmaster Lumpus. You would think that since Murray drew from his own camp experiences to develop Camp Lazlo, he was a scout extraordinaire. In reality, he wasn't the best at it, even though he went to camp for 4 or 5 years. Because futuristic technology was a common theme in entertainment at the time, Murray wanted to create something that focused on being in nature. He remembered loving the calm woodland setting in Yogi Bear and Bugs Bunny cartoons, and wanted to make something new that was similar to that. A lot of the cast and crew that worked on Rocko's Modern Life ended up working on Camp Lazlo, such as O'Hare. They definitely brought along their experience to help with the new production. That said, there was also some fresh blood in the crew. According to Murray, their new staffers helped bring in the passion to the project. Camp Lazlo stayed on air until 2008. Overall, it had 5 seasons and a total of 61 great episodes. Did you see them all? When the show was coming to an end, Murray reflected on how much he loved his crew and stated that he hopes they have a chance to work together again. We hope so too. Following the lead of Rocko's Modern Life, Camp Lazlo was a story-driven show. The experience from Murray's first show helped him and his crew feel confident about this new production. The show was run so efficiently that there was a lot of pre-production time to prepare things for the artists. Overall, there was some great communication within the team. The art style was inspired by storybooks mixed with the influence of Picasso and Matisse. Of course, being in the world of cartoons, comic book artists also rubbed off on the visuals. A lot of other inspiration was drawn from cabins and of course camps. Not only that, but Native American artifacts were also closely examined, especially for their use of natural colors. Regarding color, art director Sue Mont was assigned the task to find colors that felt like a summer camp. But things didn't have to match up exactly like they do in nature. They just had to invoke a woody essence. The 50s also contributed to the brush style. The strokes from art in that era made the crew think of comfort, so they tried to incorporate a similar visual tone into the show. While working on visual development, artist Carol Wyatt was inspired by kitsch furniture and fabrics from the 50s. She even went out to buy fabric for the job when she technically didn't have to. Talk about dedication. She was also the one who decided to have a yellow sky. Wyatt felt that because it was unnatural and bright, it would complement the comedic tone of the series. We agree. In fact, Some of the backgrounds were made with a specific traditional technique, acrylic gouache. This is a type of paint that mixes acrylic and gouache together to create a matte look. The show was animated overseas, as is the standard nowadays. Rough Draft Studios Inc., an animation studio in South Korea, helped bring life into the series. By the time Murray created Camp Lazlo, he was a father. He says that his daughters helped him see things as an imaginative kid again, and apply those characteristics into Lazlo himself. We can even thank his daughter for the Hula Pokey song, because Murray was inspired by her randomly singing the Hokey Pokey one day. When Hula Pokey made her laugh, he knew it would go into the show. Musician Andy Paley wrote a lot of original country-like songs for the show. He made sure to use uncommon instruments like washboards and spoons to give them an authentic camp feeling. Much of the music was also based on existing camp songs, such as She'll Be Coming Around the Mountain, but there were also several completely original songs. Speaking of music, the theme song was based off of Bingo, which Murray remembered from summer camp. Camp Lazlo was also the first cartoon to have some music that people recognized from SpongeBob. Why could they do that? Well, it turns out that some of the music that SpongeBob uses can be found in the public domain, so it's completely legal. According to Jeff Hutchins, who helped design the sound on both of Murray's shows, Murray kept picking the same sound effects that he used in Rocko's Modern Life for Camp Lazlo without realizing it. Camp Lazlo's principal theme is friendship. Camp was a great place to explore this, since scouts have to work together to adventure and have a good time. Murray tried to write a series that didn't have specific messages for kids with Camp Lazlo. He just wanted them to feel comfortable being who they are and to keep asking questions and challenging limitations. The character species were picked specifically based on animal personality. For example, Lazlo's positivity reminded the team of a Brazilian spider monkey. Lazlo's initial sketches were pretty similar to how he ended up looking. At one point, his hat was different, more like a straw hat, and at another point, he had less edges and more curves, but he was always a happy-go-lucky monkey. However, when it came to Clam, Murray had no idea where he came from. After putting pencil to paper, he just sort of appeared. Yep, it happens. Random blurt of creativity. Similarly, characters in the series had no idea that Clam was a rhino for a while. After Lazlo pointed it out, they started to question what Edward was instead. Yeah, platypuses are odd. Raj's design was in Murray's sketchbooks for a while. If you pay close attention, you'll even notice him in the creator's web series, Family Pop. Lumpus really works as a moose, right? Well, at first, Murray envisioned him as a horse until he realized that a moose would fit the setting much better. Slinkman is based on a banana slug because Murray kept finding them in Santa Cruz where he attended summer camp as a kid. When it came to Slinkman, there were a lot of eye stalk gags, and you can thank Kaz, one of the writers, for that. He loved doing them when he could. The other writers didn't complain, of course. Chef McMuesli was supposed to be a camp deacon, but Cartoon Network didn't want the show to involve religious aspects, so this trait was removed. Mayor Pothole McPucker was thought up by J.G. Quintel for a simple gag, judging a lovely float as something horrendously hideous. After that, the team kept bringing him back here and there. Nurse Leslie is actually based on a real-life camp nurse from Mark O'Hare's childhood. Apparently, that nurse felt that even a simple scratch was a major injury. There used to be a lot of debate about what gender Nurse Leslie was. Well, Leslie is male. Murray just wanted him to have a neutral name. It was also O'Hare's idea to have Nurse Leslie essentially glued to his stool. This idea stemmed from the observation that quite a lot of doctors navigate a room by rolling on their seats instead of just walking. Joe Murray stated that his favorite characters on the show were Edward and Lumpus, since they were an absolute joy to write for. Tom Kenny's favorite character to play, since he voiced so many, was Slinkman. Right off the bat, Murray knew that he wanted to work with Tom Kenny since he helps bring life into the character through his acting and extra writing. But there were no initial plans for Carlos Alazraqui to play Lazlo, even though he was Rocko in the past. Talk about a funny but wonderful little coincidence. The voice of the Dung Beetles, Steve Little, actually had his first voice acting gig through the part. He's pretty good at it, so who would have known? Originally, Murray hoped that Lazlo would have a Brazilian accent, but because a few other characters also had accents in this phase, the executives told him to choose just one. The end result was that Raj kept his accent and Lazlo got an American one. That said, it's still canon that Lazlo's family comes from Brazil. He's a first-generation American. Initially, Clam was supposed to be mute, but it was later decided that he would have a voice. At first, Lumpus was going to have a Don Knotts sort of voice, but it didn't quite work. So eventually, Kenny ended up creating a Richard Nixon W.C. Fields voice combo, and it fit Lumpus perfectly. Raj's overbite intentionally causes him to have a spitty voice, but when the team realized that he wasn't the easiest to understand, they changed the way he spoke to be more audible. Murray believes that Jeff Bennett should have won an award for his work on Hot Spring Fever, since it was driven by an argument between Raj and Samson, both characters that Jeff voices. Tom Kenny suggested the ending for the finale, Lumpus' Last Stand, and Murray agreed because he felt like it closed up Lumpus's arc nicely and made him a more dynamic character. Spoiler alert, the real scoutmaster of the camp turns out to be a steer who bears a striking resemblance to Heifer from Rocko's Modern Life. Could Camp Lazlo be a secret universe sequel? Starting in 2006, Camp Lazlo had several 2-minute shorts. Think of them as mini adventures full of comedy. There were about 14 of them in all. Cartoon Network also released a series of comics called Block Party that included fun, short stories from their various cartoons. Camp Lazlo, of course, was one of these included shows. One of these comics actually spoofs Scooby-Doo. It goes as far as having a mystery latrine, that's a toilet, painted with a sign that looks similar to the Scooby Gang's Mystery Machine. There's a running gag in the show about name pronunciations. Usually, Lumpus can't remember Edward's name, but at times, others end up calling Lumpus Lumpus. I guess it's karma. Slickman also gets his name messed up quite a bit. Miss Doe and Commander Hoo-Ha tend to call him Slugman. I mean, it's not wrong, but it's not right. The show ended up having a 1-hour special film called Where's Lazlo? It showed how the Jelly Cabin trio met and was released in February 2007. The movie did contradict some things that happened in the show. For example, in the show, there's a flashback scene where Lazlo, Raj, and Clam are infants at camp together. This wouldn't have been possible if they met later on. Still, it's a great movie. Murray mentioned that he enjoyed working on the film because it took the characters after they developed more traits throughout the show and made their first encounter feel more fleshed out and genuine. He doesn't like starting a show with character introductions for this reason. Another cool bonus was the Christmas special. I mean, how could there not be one? It's the only episode where a human appears in the show. Naturally, that human is Santa Claus. But is Santa Claus technically human? Food for thought. It took Raj until season 5 to start calling Lazlo Dude. Talk about character and friendship development. Even though Lazlo is the main character, he doesn't appear in 3 episodes: Space Mates, Miss Frou-Frou, and Squirrel Scout Slinkman. Chances are, Samson is adopted because both of his parents are jellyfish. It's very unlikely that 2 jellyfish would produce a guinea pig, but it is a cartoon, so who knows? Camp Kidney is an all-boys camp. The girl camp is the Squirrel Scouts, and they act as friendly rivals to their counterparts from time to time. The badges at camp get weird. Though we never learn all of them, we do know that these 2 exist: the motorcycle maintenance badge and taxidermy badge. Wait, but they're animals, so they're getting a badge for... Okay, try not to think about it. In case it wasn't clear yet, all the cabins at Camp Kidney are named after a type of bean. Lazlo, Raj, and Clam are in the Jelly Cabin, named after the best bean, the Jelly Bean. Edward, Chip, and Skip are in the Pinto Cabin, making them the Pinto Trio. Did you know that Camp Lazlo had a video game made for the Game Boy Advance? Camp Lazlo Leaky Lake Games was developed by Collision Studios and published by Crave Entertainment. It came out in 2006, and you could play as all 3 main boys in the series. Did you play? Who was your favorite character to play as? Cartoon Network also had several of their own flash games for the show on their site. One such game was Campground Dash, where the player had to keep Lazlo energized with healthy food to get him to the end of the maze. This particular game was a collaboration with the George Battalion Foundation for the world's healthiest foods. In the flash game, Beaned, you have to save the camp from an alien invasion with dodgeball. Duh, how else are you gonna do it? Fireflies are a big part of summer camp, so in Jumping Jelly Beans, your goal is to help the Jelly Trio catch as many fireflies as they can. Another fun part of camp is the game Capture the Flag. In Squirreled Away, you help the Bean Scouts compete against the Squirrel Scouts in this fun activity. The final flash game was Paint Can Panic, where you cover the campgrounds in paint, kind of like Splatoon. So, which of these games was your favorite? Fusion Fall, a Cartoon Network MMORPG, took some influence from Camp Lazlo. While you couldn't play as any of the characters in the show, many settings and items were direct references to Camp Kidney and the surrounding areas. Why no Lazlo, Raj, or Clam though? Midori Fu, the artist, couldn't get the designs down. Back in the day, fast food toy promotion was a given for cartoons. McDonald's partnered with Cartoon Network to release a series of toys from various shows. Out of the 8 different toys, 2 were from the Camp Lazlo series, a plush Lazlo and a plastic Raj in a canoe. Murray wasn't too happy about the product line with the fast food corporation. When they asked to have show creators appear in a promo alongside their characters, he politely declined to be a part of the process. However, since they were still going to have Camp Lazlo toys, there needed to be a stand-in for the promotion. C. Rajo, the character designer on the show, was asked to step in Murray's place. Camp Lazlo won not one, not two, but 3 awards at Pulcinella. It was actually the 10th anniversary of the festival, so that's a pretty big deal. The first award the show won was Best Animated Series for Children, but it topped that award with the next prize, Best Animated Series for All Ages. All ages! They kept killing it when Lazlo himself won for Best Character. That means he was the popular kid of the cartoon world. The show was nominated for an Emmy for the episode Hello Dolly, Overcooked Beans. Sadly, it didn't bring the gold home. No worries, because in 2007, Camp Lazlo won a Primetime Emmy for the episode Where's Lazlo? In the Outstanding Animated Programming 1 hour or more category. Mont also received an Emmy that year, specifically the Individual Achievement in Animation Award, for her work on the episode Squirrel Secrets. Lazlo won another Emmy the following year, 2008, for the episode Lazlo's First Crush, in the Outstanding Short Format Animated Program area. Winning Emmys actually made Murray worried that the show was becoming too mainstream and not weird enough. Nah dude, weird is in. Camp Lazlo ended because the network cancelled it. It was only after the cancellation that it won the awards, so we wonder how Cartoon Network felt after the fact. Bring it back. Bring it back. Bring it back! Towards the end, during the post-production process, the crew had dwindled down from 50 people actively working on the show to only 4. Yes, these 4 were handling the final details, but that's still a tiny team if you ask us. It's actually extremely difficult to find hard copies of the show nowadays. Unfortunately, DVDs were never really released in North America, and the only place you can grab all the seasons are on iTunes. If you're a collector, you might be interested in knowing that there's an extremely rare press kit for the show. It features the first 2 episodes on DVD. Let us know if you have it. However, it is still possible to own a DVD of Season 1. If you have a Region 4 player, meaning Australia and a few other places are pretty lucky. You can also own 2 episodes and the Christmas special if you get the Cartoon Fridays DVDs. If you want to watch the original widescreen version of Where's Lazlo, you might be out of luck. It only ever aired once. Even the For Your Consideration DVD was cropped to full screen. And if you want to own a physical copy of Where's Lazlo, this full screen DVD may be the only way. Listings for it keep popping up on eBay if you're really interested. For a while, you used to be able to watch Camp Lazlo on Netflix, but sadly, it was removed in 2015. Come on, guys. We just want to watch the show. Make it easier, please. Murray himself and his legal team worked towards getting a DVD release for the show. He promised he'll let everyone know if something ever does happen, so for the latest updates, keep an eye on his social media. Once again, I'm Joe, and thanks for watching 107 Facts About Camp Lazlo. Who's your favorite character? Did we miss anything? Comment below and let us know. Don't forget to click the bell icon to become part of the notification squad. We have videos dropping every day, so make sure to subscribe to Channel Frederator, your Cartoon Central on the internet.